And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at a game called Scoundrel Society. This is from Action Phase Games, and this is a simultaneous selection game where the card that you play changes based on how many other people play it. And I like that idea. That's something that we saw in Civilizations and other games, and that's a cool concept. You are a thief in this game. I guess you are one of those debonair thieves, but you are going in and robbing and trying to have the most stuff. But the game has a twist, which is not that big of a twist because it's used in many games. At the end of the game, whoever has the most suspicion loses. Doesn't matter how much money you've gained. But it plays pretty neat. Let me show you. Now, the whole goal of this game is to get loot. All right, loot is going to be great because the loot is going to provide you with a certain amount of money at the end of the game. So if we take a look here at this loot card, this antiquity here, this is worth 3 at the end of the game. Whoever has the most value of loot is going to win. However, loot often comes with suspicion. At the end of the game, whoever has the most suspicion is going to lose. It doesn't matter how much loot you have. This symbol here in the middle just shows you what kind of loot. Sometimes that comes into effect. There's also ways to get suspicion tokens, which will add to your total suspicion value. Now, each player is going to start with a character, and each character has a grift ability on them, which we'll talk about in a little bit later, and then a knack ability, and this is basically a special ability that you have. You can always use it throughout the whole course of the game when it sets. So each person's going to pick one of those. A mark is going to be picked. So, for example, let's say we pick the Widow here. At the end of the game, any loot that has personal value or like a longing towards it with the heart symbols is worth an extra money. Or if we pick the Heir, basically depending which one we pick, a different type of loot is going to be worth money at the end of the game. So you pick one of those, and that's going to kind of change the overall arc of the game. You'll shuffle this deck. In the bottom 10 cards of the deck, you'll put a Constable Cramphorn. Basically, when he shows up, game's instantly over. Once it's over, players are going to count up all their loot and the values. The highest suspicion person is eliminated, and then whoever has the highest value of loot wins the game. Now, each person is going to have a set of 5 cards. In front of you, any loot you get, you're going to place in front of you. However, you're only allowed to have 3 loot in front of you. But you can stash loot, which will be basically taking a loot and sticking it under your character, and you can have as much in your stash as you want. Each player is going to, for each turn of the game, play a card face down, then reveal those cards. Once you play a card, you can't play it until you've played all your cards, in which case you'll pick your cards back up again. So, the first one we have here is Snatch. Now, each card has 2 spots on it. If you're the only person to play a card, you get the top part. If other people have played the card, you get the bottom. So, for example, in Snatch, if you're the only person, you get 2 loot from the middle row. If other people have done it, you get 1 loot from the row. And there is a start player that will change each round. So if multiple people do something, you will pick who gets to do each thing as you steal from the middle of the row. Then we have the Store. This one here basically lets you take a loot that you have and put it in your stash. And this is the same whether multiple people play it or whether you're the only person to play it. Switch lets you exchange a loot with someone else. Basically, you steal one of their good ones and give them one that's not as good as yours. And then you can also put a loot in your stash if you're the only person to play the card. Sneak lets you steal a loot from the top of the deck, and then you can put a loot with 1 or more suspicion into your stash. But if multiple people do it, then you can do one of those 2 things. And then finally, Scheme lets you use your grift ability. If multiple people do, you can use your grift ability, and you can put a loot in your stash. So scheming is actually better when multiple people play it. So each person has different kinds of these grift abilities. They're all going to be different. So for example, this guy can steal any number of loot from the row, and he puts 1 loot from the top deck into the row for each loot you stole. So this guy can steal a whole bunch, but he puts more loot for other people. This guy here can look at the top card and put it in a stash without revealing it, or put it in the top of the deck and then steal a loot from the row. So you can see that these grift abilities are pretty cool. She can steal loot from the top of the deck and then steal loot from the row that has 1 or more suspicion on it. So let's talk a little bit about loot, because there is a lot of it, and some of it is not worth it. For example, counterfeit currency. When you steal this from the mark, that means when you take it from the middle row, that's the mark. you can exchange it with a loot controlled by another player. So I can take this and say, ha ha ha, your loot's really counterfeit. I have the real whatever it is. If this is in your stash at the end of the game, your suspicion total's reduced by 2. So this is not worth any value, but it's good to get your suspicion down. Here's gold coins. This is worth 3, but it's an extra 3 if you have 4 more loot with coins in the name. So you can see there's all sorts of things. Sometimes they give you special abilities. There's this yacht here, which is worth a lot, but you can never put it into your stash. Anyway, that's how the game's played. Players will continue to do that until the end of the game. Most suspicions out. After that, most value of loot is the winner of the game. I was really impressed with this game. I really liked how the cards played and the interplay between everybody else, because you have those 5 cards that you're playing. And there's that whole level where if I play this card and someone else plays it, they're probably going to... You're looking at what everyone else can do. You're like, yeah, they have a lot of cards in front of them. They're probably going to stash a card this round. So if they're going to stash a card this round, then I can play one where I steal 2 in the middle. Hopefully no one else will play that. And you also have that special ability, which kind of essentially means you have 5 cards, but one of your cards is different than everyone else's. And I really like that concept. This game took the idea of playing cards simultaneously and made it feel a little bit fresh because of that idea of, hey, I have this ability that no one else has. And the abilities do feel very even and stuff. And also the cards themselves. Every game's going to be different. Like maybe one game, silver is worth more. So you want to try to get silver. And you're watching because the stuff in the middle sometimes is worth more to you. Like maybe you're collecting coins like the one I showed you in the video. And so getting those coins can be a big deal. And so you're trying to get the coins at the right point in time. And I like that concept. I like the idea of playing the cards, and that might be worth more to me. But I'm sitting there, and that one's really valuable to you. I might steal that one instead just so you can't get it. At the same time, I might steal it because I might steal a lesser-known item because when I know someone's going to probably switch cards, and I'd rather have them switch with you, and I get something that's at least better than the garbage you're going to give me. Everyone starts, I didn't show this in the video, but everyone starts with a card like a copper coin or something that's worth not that much. I mean, it's worth some points, and you can, so right away at the beginning of the game, you have the opportunity to trade with other people, or you can stash the copper coin, which I have done. This game plays 2 to 5 players. I think it kind of plays best with 5, although with the other numbers, I haven't played it with 2, but with 3 and 4, it also works well. But the whole thing just has a cool theme. It has that thief, like what did I get? There's the variety amongst the loot that you're stealing is good and interesting. And when the new cards come up, everyone's like, ooh. But basically just that, come around, okay, what's my turn order here? And what cards have been played already by everybody else? And what cards do I think they're going to play? There's that guess and double guess. This game is just the kind of game that I like to play. It's short and entertaining, but has you trying to outthink everybody else, or attempting to outthink everybody else, which makes it a lot of fun. That's Scoundrel Society. Dice Tower Judgment approved!
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!
Shut the door!